Markets all around us are falling. What does it mean for sports card collectors, investors? Well, I think it's going to mean that some amazing collections are about to be built. Let's talk about it. Hello to all my sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends. How are we doing today? It is another beautiful day. We have made it. We are here on the planet, so we should be thankful just to be around. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, all the buttons below, the subscribe, the notification, all of that stuff helps us grow the channel. We want to get the word out and continue to grow. Also connect with me on IG, Instagram at SportsCardDad, and I'm also on Twitter, the SportsCardDad. Okay guys, it is no secret if you look around, whether it be stocks, equities, whether it be cryptocurrencies, markets are falling.
Please sit down. Welcome, everyone. I must apologize for dragging you all here at such an uncommon hour, but from what I've been told, this matter needs to be dealt with urgently. So urgently, in fact, probably should have been addressed weeks ago.
And a lot of it has to do with macroeconomic stuff. We talk about it all the time here on the channel. It's not talked about very much in the sports card world. You just kind of hear a lot about player performance and this and that or whatever without really taking into account a lot of the big picture type things. So I want to go ahead and touch on that today because I have seen a lot of negative kind of overall thoughts about this, but I'd like to turn that on its head. I'd like to twist it around because whether you are a collector or an investor, and I've heard this a lot in the comments of my videos where it's, hey, this is good for collectors. This is good. As prices come down, the collectors can get better deals on stuff. Well, I would argue that this is good for collectors. It's also good for investors, and a lot of us are hybrids of both of these things. We collect certain things for PC, and then we're also investing in different things as well. But whether you are a collector or an investor, lowering prices just means that you're able to get stuff at less expensive prices. So if you're a collector, great. You can get the stuff that you're PCing, you can get stuff that you're holding, that you're taking into the grave that you are going to be buried with. They're going to scatter cards, in your coffin with you. Great. You're that collector that's keeping everything until the end of time. Fantastic. If you are an investor, then this is good for you to be able to double, triple down on things that you already think are great, or if there's stuff that has been out of your price range that you're like, man, I like it, but I don't like the price point. Now there are going to be some buying opportunities. I think we're going to see some of the best buying opportunities that have been available in years. Let's face it, a lot of the hobbyists, a lot of the big egos out there in the hobby that like to flex their stuff on IG and this and that or whatever, they have been beneficiaries of this being around long enough. They've been around long enough. They were buying cards more than 2.5 years ago, and they have benefited greatly over the last couple of years. But what goes up must come down. People that are just getting in and are like, man, I'd love to get into this hobby, but man, pricing has just been so expensive. Well, there's going to be some great buying opportunities upcoming. I think that it's coming. Sports cards, not different than a lot of other markets and a lot of other hobbies, are going to be affected by real world, big picture stuff, inflation, monetary policy, all these things that are happening in a big way in the US, they're also happening globally, and we can't just kind of continue on this huge inflationary train where everything is just boosted up for no real good reason, and corrections have to happen. For a lot of people, they haven't really seen actual corrections. This isn't like correction time. This is like big time correction. Some people will say correction, some people say crash, some people say depression, some people say recession. However you want to explain it, however you want to do it, these are natural things that we just frankly haven't seen that much of because governments all over the world have been just propping up asset prices for a very, very long time. My overall thoughts on this is just kind of, buckle down. For me, we want to make sure that we've got a good emergency fund just in case, want to make sure that we're being conservative, but we also want to make sure that we're buying into certain assets as they come down in price. That's the whole idea. There's so much talk about buy low, sell high, but what happens typically when markets crash is everyone's fearful and nobody buys. buys. Then when stuff starts to go up, everybody buys in when it's going up, when it's shooting up. That's the whole point is that whole buy low thing is when you have identified certain asset classes that you really like, but the prices are so high. When everything goes down and everyone's like, I'm getting out of here, I'm getting rid of this is stupid. That's the time when it's stupid to get in a lot of times. We are now going to be tested with this all across the board. It doesn't matter what investments we are looking at. It doesn't matter what asset classes. We are going to be tested because I don't think there's going to be one sector in particular that's doing amazingly well. I think that we're going to have choices. If you are an investor or a collector or whatever, collectibles, you're going to have choices at a lot of different price points. I think that thing is coming. And I don't think it should be really a shock to anybody. And so here we are. It is starting to come. Buying opportunities, amazing collections can be built during this time. And so I think that's kind of the attitude that I'm taking is there's going to be big opportunities to get in on certain cards that may have been out of reach. And so guys, let's look at this from a positive light. Make sure that we kind of ease into it because again, you can never guess the bottom. You can never guess the height. I guess you can guess the bottom. The bottom can always be zero for everything. But the idea is that, I always hear the comment too is don't try to catch the falling knife. And that's why I kind of dollar cost average down on a lot of things where it's like, I really like this thing. I bought it for this price. And then I'm buying again in here and I'll buy it again here and I'll buy it again here, and that's where it all kind of averages out. Fine. It's all about doing the research. I think now the one thing that's key too is when people talk about doing research, this is now a great time because options abound. Options all over the place. Whether we're talking about collectibles, whether we're talking about, cryptocurrency, whether we're talking about stocks, equities, whatever that is, options all over the place. And so now is research time, really digging in on what's the stuff I like the most, before getting in on any particular thing, because there will be opportunities. Guys, thank you very much for joining me here today. And let's build these collections. It is going to be a good time ahead, I think, for a lot of people, not just for collectors, but also for investors as well. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.